a lot of our clients will come to us and like, well, I'm terrible with money. I'm awful with money. And they have this predefined vision of how they deal and handle money. And we're like, no, you just weren't taught. Like Shana said, nobody taught us. By the way, you have to learn how to manage your own finances. Oh, and when you get married, now you have to bring two people in the conversation and know how to manage all that. And it is a lot. And so if you can just learn at a young age how to be successful, I have a couple that are about to get married next month, and he just got debt free during this whole 6-month journey. But I'm like, you have now laid an awesome foundation for the rest of your life, because it's not just something that you can learn in 6 months and be done. You're going to have all of this knowledge that we taught you for the rest of your life, for your kids' life, and maybe even your grandkids, right?
Well, just imagine, and I don't know, Simone, if you ever were like this, imagine not being stressed about money for decades. Money does not have to be a source of stress.
Welcome to the Daughter Dearest Podcast with dynamic mother-daughter duo, Simone and Olivia Canego, where they discuss the secrets of transformation and how to build bold confidence and unwavering resilience. From intimate conversations with inspiring guests to sharing their personal journeys of triumph and challenge, Simone and Olivia create a supportive space where every woman is encouraged to rise above her fears and love the woman in the mirror. Tune into the Daughter Dearest Podcast and join this special journey of connection and growth.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Daughter Dearest Podcast. I'm Simone Canego.
And I'm Olivia Canego. And this week we have two special guests, the ideal balanced duo. So Shana and Vanessa are best friends and business partners on a mission to redefine personal finance for women worldwide. They're powerhouse keynote speakers, master financial coaches, and co-hosts of the top 1.5 globally ranked podcast, Financial Coaching for Women. As some of the only people who truly love talking about budgets, Shana and Vanessa know how to make personal finance fun, judgment-free, and refreshingly simple. Bringing over a decade of coaching experience to the table and training by Dave Ramsey, Shana and Vanessa are taking the shame out of money talk and teaching women worldwide how to be bougie on a budget.
Yes, girl.
Yes, thanks for the intro.
Thanks for joining us today.
I love that.
Yeah,
the being bougie on a budget. Love it.
I knew you were going to go there right away. As a college student,
we're getting a lot of feedback from that. We just recently kind of added that little tagline to our business, so we're excited too.
Yeah, I remember hearing that at the Accelerated event. And I was like, that's a really cool tagline. Like, people are going to definitely connect with that one.
Yeah, and it came about because, as you mentioned, we were trained by Dave Ramsey. I mean, maybe not personally, but we went through his program. And as we've evolved in our coaching business, we're serving women who make good money, but don't have anything to show for it. And they're not interested in living on only beans and rice. They're not interested in giving up their pumpkin spice lattes. Like, they still want to have their nails done, but they also want to make progress on whatever their other goals are too. So that's where we're like, you can be bougie, but you just have to put it on the budget. Let's put it in the budget and we can still make it happen.
Well, and the other thing is it means something different to everyone, right? So you can define what bougie on a budget means to you, and another person it can mean something completely different. But like Shana said, the overall arching idea here is that you can do the things that you love and not give them up, and also be on a budget, also pay off debt, also build wealth.
So how did you guys end up working together? Like, tell me a little bit of that backstory, because you guys like complement each other so well. So kind of
praise God for that. That's that part. God put us together. We can't take any credit. And you said a little bit. I thought that was an interesting way to put us on a leash, because we'll talk forever about it. No, I'm just kidding. But we met when our boys are 15 now. They were 4 when they joined. They were in VPK, which is the class before you go into kindergarten, together, and at the Y. And then we were working out together while they were in class. And so we were stretching or whatever. And she's like, I just went to a new church. And I was like, I just moved here. I need a new church. Let's go together. And I always like to think back. That was like when we met and first spoke to each other. And 2 weeks later at that church, we were leading a community group together. So that's kind of the intense level of our friendship.
Yeah.
And we also did all the free things because we're very frugal. Like, how many free things can we do together?
Free vacation Bible schools.
Like, yes. And then the beach, the park, like the YMCA pool, because we were already paying for that membership. So we just literally dove all in and we became Insta friends.
Yes. And then one day, apparently, my memory is not the best. I picked up a book called Total Money Makeover. I'm guessing from a garage sale, thrift store somewhere. I read it, gave it to my husband. he read it and said, we already do this. And I said, not sure that's correct, babe, but love you. But then I gave it to Vanessa. I'm like, Vanessa, we don't need this. All done. We basically are, millionaires or whatever, according to my husband. And so, but Vanessa took a little different took it differently.
Yeah. So, I love information. I don't love to read. And so I got this book and I thought, I'm never going to read this. Girl, I read it in a week. Like it was such great content, and the just everything about it just made sense to me. And so we took it, I read it. My grandmother is Portuguese, and she lives 6 months here in the States and 6 months over there in Portugal. And she told me, she said, listen, before the kids start school, because they were little bitty, right? They're about to go, my son was about to start kindergarten. She said, come to Portugal for 3 months. You're never going to get this opportunity again. So I did. I asked my husband, can I go? And he said, sure. And quit my job. I packed up my kids and we went for 3 months, and he came out in the middle. And we really found out what was really important to us, who we really are. I think up until that point, we were like living like the Joneses, or trying to keep up with the Joneses. We bought the big house, got all the furniture. We bought the house and racked up the credit cards and everything. And came back from that trip, sold everything, bought a smaller house. And at 31, I was mortgage free and debt free.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
And it is amazing. And she's got more. She's added more stats to that financial resume since then. But on our end, we entered our marriage in a little bit of debt, but we were never in debt. We made good money. And, but our deal was we didn't communicate or own our finances. So we're kind of spending almost everything we made, not lavishly, because we didn't have that much money, but we weren't in debt. So that's where my husband's like, we already do this. So then when he finally figured it out, we did the whole thing. We went through FPU, we got cash envelopes. We got out of the one vehicle that we paid off. And then we were communicating, we were excited, we had goals, and it was really fun. And we took FPU and we led FPU like 4 different times. In this whole time, I have my own coaching practice, and I decided to add Dave's financial coaching to it because it just made so much sense to do all the coachings. And I text Vanessa.
Yeah. So, I was really in a dark place with my job, and I asked God for the guidance. I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? I know I'm supposed to be doing something. I have no idea what it is. And he told me, you're going to be mortgage free and debt free when you start your business. And I was like, great. So when I did that, I was like, okay, A+ student, like I did the thing. What am I supposed to do? And literally that week, Shana texted me and she said, I'm moving back home. I want you to get your financial coaching certification, and we're going to do this thing together. So
that is such a great story.
That's crazy.
And it all started at a gym.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's why it's so important that you talk to everyone you meet. You just never know.
She's a big believer in this.
Oh, I am.
You talk to everybody you meet.
And you never know. I've met some of the coolest people just by what are you reading? How's it going? Yeah. Anything. It really.
Yeah. And to be open-hearted too. I think that's a big thing, is just to, I will struggle to talk to you about, the weather or your kid's shoe size or whatever, but let's talk about church and really deep things immediately first day, then let's go. And so I agree. Yep.
It's amazing.
So you guys didn't have backgrounds in financial services or anything before starting this?
Nope. No. So we both have business degrees, but all of my favorite classes were the finance ones. And I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, and I always helped my mom. I was always money savvy. I loved money, not as in it ran me or it was a master of me, but I just loved learning about money and understanding it. And I had no idea that it was going to lead to this.
I was in the Air Force, which didn't do anything to prepare me for this, other than I did lead and train people a lot.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was in journalism, so I wrote articles for newspapers. Also, nothing to do with this. But I do think I did a lot of spreadsheets. Does that help? I don't know, but it just how God, he just puts different skills in your pocket, and then when you just keep doubling down on the next thing. And so I think we're both very uniquely, creatively perfect for what we're doing now. It just, there was a lot of building blocks to get there.
Yeah.
That makes it so much more approachable, in my opinion, because I don't know, sometimes you see these financial whizzes and they have everything sorted, but they also are investment bankers or did finance in college. And for me,
and they were a millionaire real estate investor.
Yeah.
Too. And you're At 22, I was looking in couch cushions for some gas money. How can I help?
was thousands of dollars in debt and did all the wrong things.
Don't worry about
Yeah.
it. But honestly, that is why we are, I think, successful in our own little niche. Is we're trying to make it relatable. We're trying to make it real. We're trying to make it maybe fun. Taboo, what? But make it lighthearted, because that is the space that you kind of think about when you think about finances, and we don't want to do it.
No, one of the things we like to say is we're trying to take the shame out of spending, because we do love to spend money. Whether that's spending money on travel, spending money on our kids, spending money on ourselves, spending money on personal, professional development. Like, we all have our niches and our vices, what we like to spend money on. We want to take the shame out of that and show you that you can do that and you can feel good about it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because I think that is probably the biggest piece, is that people will rack up the credit card debt because they don't want anybody to know that they don't really have the money, and they want to have all the stuff that their friends have or the people they see on social media have, and not realizing like how miserable that actually makes you, right? I mean, the most stressful thing for me is when I get a bill and think, do I have money in the bank to pay that right now? Obviously, as I get older, that doesn't happen anymore, but it used to, and it used to be really stressful.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's why we've set up our system the way it is. So what's interesting about what you just said is we used to be there and now we're not. We're coaching women now who have good money or make good money, but have nothing to show for it. When we were, when we were there, where we didn't know if the bill was going to get paid. Like Vanessa said, we had debt. We were maybe trying to keep up with the Joneses. So we're not in that ouchy place, but that's the problem right now. So many people have worked up to the point where they're making good money. Great job. They're successful. We're very happy for you, but you have nothing to show for it, just like you were when you were 20, and we don't want that. We want you to be able to know everything's covered. And and be able to be generous is another, like recently one of my clients was able to know that she could cover, dinner for everybody. And not have to worry about it. And that's the kind of place you want to be when you're a grown up, right? You don't want to be like, can we split the bill 13 ways? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really fun when we do our clients' budgets and we show them, like, you have all this money coming in. These are your bills. And you have like $1,000, $2,000 left over at the end of the month, and their mouths just drop, their eyes get all big, and they're like, but how? And it's just because we looked at the numbers. A lot of times they're keeping their head in their sand, like you said, that you have no idea what's going on with your money. And so, but if we just can look at it as a whole and make a plan for it, then some of it's going in savings, some of it's going towards debt, and you have all the money, allotted for spending. It feels really good.
Well, and to your point, we have a specific bill system where it's completely always funded, and you never ever wonder if a bill is going to get paid or not. And as a mom, or no, as anybody, you're right. It's just like
as a human,
I don't need that stress in my brain.
Yeah.
I don't need to waste brain calories on, is the mortgage going to get paid? Boo hoo, that's not fun. But I wanted to say, Liv, I wanted to bring you in the conversation too, because our favorite thing truly don't worry, older women, we love you too, but we love to get people young, because if you can get some of this stuff in place now, you're going to be a millionaire. And not that that's even necessarily your goal, but just by being financially savvy, you can just go so much further faster than we did when we figured it out in our 30s.
Yeah, that's one of the funnest things I love to ask. We actually have parents who buy our program for people that are getting married, for graduation presents and things like that. Just because it is such a good foundation for them as they're starting their life. But I'm like, if you could be a millionaire, if somebody told you could be a millionaire by the time you were 40, would you believe it? And like Shana said, you may not be money motivated. Right. And that's not the point. The point is that money offers opportunity. So, money makes the world go round. You need it to buy things, to live and to survive. Imagine if you had enough of it to be able to not only serve you, but for your family and to give to others.
What do you think? Do you think about that? Do you think about that at 40?
Right now I think about it on a daily basis. Money, I think, like, I'm graduating in 2 weeks. And so I feel like money has been on my mind. All of college, I think, is when you really feel it, like financial independence a little bit. And obviously I'm still dependent, but in the end of the day, I have to pay my credit card bills. So it's like, if you don't have the money, you're screwed. But right now, I think that one of the biggest things for me is that I'm going to another 3 years of school after this. And like the idea of my friends being able to make income and I'm not, is like, will I be significantly set back because of that?
Well, remind us, what are you going to school for?
I'm going to law school.
Okay.
I think she'll be fine.
You'll catch up real quick.
I mean, my friends they're like in investment banking and finance. So it's just like that kind of thing as well. It's really interesting to see like the people around you go from no income to like 6 figures essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think the key is you can, just like we said, we have clients that come in making lawyer and banker money, investment banker money. But what do you have to show for it? And that is something, no matter what, if you're budgeting, if you're being frugal, and the Bible verse, if you're faithful with a little, you'll be rewarded with much. And like that's the thing. If you can do a really good job now of stewarding your finances, like you're talking about, like being cognizant of that credit card bill, then as you get those, then it's like you grow into that bigger income in 3 years that you'll be able to get.
Yeah. It's daunting for sure. I think it's something that, I don't know, I was never taught personal finance like at an academic level. You kind of just arrived at university, and at one point I was like, oh, I guess I should like open a credit card and not just have a debit card. And then I was like, oh, I guess all my friends are opening IRAs. Like, I guess I can open an IRA, and I have a savings account like everyone else does. So I guess I should have one. But
it's so wild how you're not taught any of that.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's what's going to fund you be able to do everything else they teach you.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of our clients will come to us and like, well, I'm terrible with money. I'm awful with money. And they just have this predefined vision of how they deal and handle money. And we're like, no, you just weren't taught. Like Shana said, nobody taught us. By the way, you have to learn how to manage your own finances. Oh, and when you get married, now you have to bring 2 people in the conversation and know how to manage all that. And it is a lot. And so if you can just learn at a young age how to be successful, I have a couple, they're about to get married next month, and he just got debt free during this whole 6-month journey. But I'm like, you have now laid an awesome foundation for the rest of your life, because it's not just something that you can learn in 6 months and be done. You're going to have all of this knowledge that we taught you for the rest of your life, for your kids' life, and maybe even your grandkids, right?
Well, just imagine, and I don't know, Simone, if you ever were like this, imagine not being stressed about money for decades. Money does not have to be a source of stress. It's just a lot of times we were not taught. And so then, it gets more complicated. So right now you've got that credit card bill, but like you alluded to, when you do move out, then everything and just life starts to get more complicated. Our budget starts to get more complicated. We don't have a foundation of what we learned. And then it's just like, well, never mind. I don't even want to learn now. But that's where, and we're talking a lot, but that's where we come in and we really try to make it as simple and systemized and automated as possible, so that you can see the money go into the IRA every month and just see it stacking up. You can know your bills are paid for. You don't even have to like think about it. You're using your bank as your personal assistant, basically, that so that you can focus on, being a lawyer, all the things.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between mindful and mindless spending? Because I feel like a lot of us do a lot of mindless spending, and it's that thing, like you're standing in the grocery aisle, right? And you're like, you grab something, you don't need it, but you grab it anyways. And then, or Target, for example. Oh my gosh, I go in to buy 2 things and I spend $250. Like, what happened?
Yeah. Don't go into Target. Mic drop, all done. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. One of those makes you want to throw up. One of them makes you want to celebrate. So we'll give you a story. We have our clients do a 90-day review, but as they're coming into coaching, they go back, they print out their credit card statements, their bank account statements, whatever, for 90 days, highlight like one color's for groceries, one color's for restaurants, as and one color is for whatever, all the different things.
You don't have to highlight it. You just want to highlight the different types of categories, right?
Yeah.
And then you add them up. And that's where my client, I think she's found out they're a family of 4, 2 young girls. So not like 2 teenage boys, which would be different. 2 young girls, and they were spending, I think, $2,000 a month on eating out. And she said she wanted to throw up because she never looked at it that way. It was just mindless spending, as you said. On the other hand, now they are on a budget, they're on purpose, they never really stray from it, and they've paid off 4 credit cards. And that's that's mindful spending, right? And they have the fruit of that they're almost debt free. They're going to have so much money in their bank account once they get rid of all these minimum payments. And that's kind of the difference.
Yeah. So we think of mindless spending as like your head is in the sand, you're swiping your card, you have no idea what's going on with your money. You're hoping things go through. You're hoping you're hoping you're going to be able to pay off the credit cards at the end of the month, right? That's kind of like the mindless. But the mindful it's planned ahead of time, and it's not restrictive. It's just sorted out, and how much money you have to be able to spend on things. And like Shana said, they're still going out to eat, but also they're paying off debt. They're also saving for travel. They're also saving for birthdays. There's just a lot of other things that you can do once you know your numbers and you know what's going on with them.
Yeah. And mindless spending really is so chaotic because you don't know, like you alluded to when you're younger, you said, I don't know if I have money for the bill. I hope it's going to work out. Right. A lot of people are like that versus the way we teach you is look at your budget. We're going to come up with all the numbers and then you have a bank account specifically for groceries and you know exactly what you have to spend on groceries. You have a bank account specifically for your personal spending. If you're at Target and you have $200 in that, then you try to put that other thing on the thing. You won't have $205. Right? So it just, it gives you an easy, and that's the other thing. It has to be easy because if I have to do math in the moment, I'm not going to do it. I'll just find a way to swipe a credit card or something. So if I can just look at my bank app and say, this is exactly how much I have, and I know all the time for everything, then I'm going to be much more mindful about it.
Do you use a credit card?
No,
not at all.
So how do you build your credit then without a credit card?
What are you building credit for?
I don't know, like life. I guess buying a house eventually.
Okay. So, but that when you said, I don't know, life, my next question before you said more a house was like, well, who told you how to build a credit?
Yeah. So this
I did, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She's like, fine.
I don't know. It's just one of those things.
The credit, the FICO score and credit in general is decades old. Like we're not even talking 100 years old. It's a brand new financial system and we're not sold on it. We don't believe it's necessary. So for a young person, and for the older person as well, we think you can be your own bank. So for example, we have a person in our Facebook, we have a free Facebook group, and she said, the only credit card I'm keeping is the one in case of my cat or my dog or whatever. It's for a vet, in case there's a vet emergency. She has one credit card. And we said, well, what's the limit on that? She said $3,000. And we said, well, what if you saved $3,000 in a high yield savings account that was making you money? And you have that much money for this emergency, this vet, instead of relying on a credit card. That's how you become your own bank. And it trades up. So right now the first thing you would need credit for is a car, maybe, right? Buy a car and then save money. Don't pay interest. You save up for the car, you buy the car, and then you trade up and you save up money for whatever the next big thing, furniture or whatever it is that's coming up in your life, and become your own bank. Especially you have the IRA, you already know that you can save money. You already know that you're good at doing that. You can put it in a high yield savings account and and have your money making money instead of paying someone else to borrow their money.
And there are other ways to get a mortgage.
No.
I've never just thought about it like that before because I am the kind of person that like I have it on automatic. I pay my bills off every single month because I don't like seeing that number too high. And I haven't had to take out loans for anything. So I really just am having a credit card for, well, the perks of it sometimes, and then just to have a credit card. Just like it's a really confusing thing, but it's just one of those things that's like, okay, I guess you're old enough, you should open a credit card.
Well, it's just one of those things that we do because everyone else is doing, or they send it to us in the mail and we think that we should do it or we have to do it to get certain things. And I understand what you're saying about the perks, but one of the things that Shana was talking about was, right now, high yield savings accounts good ones are between 4 and like 5.5% interest. Okay. So you're never going to make 4 to 5.5% back on points on your credit card. So if you were to put this money in a bank account, you're making that percent back every month, right? It's accruing in interest. Yeah. And eventually you're going to have all that built up.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to get these perks that you're having right now on these credit cards. You're going to be able to use the interest saved, and your money's going to be making money for you in your savings account, and you have all that cash back in your pocket. So not only have you become your own bank, like Shana said, by having that $3,000 in the bank for that pet emergency, but now you're making money on your own money by it sitting there.
Yeah. And just quickly, there are the 1 to 5% who can manage a credit card and don't ever end up regretting things. Most of the people are not that. And the credit card companies are actively trying to make you not be one of those people, right? On purpose, they are trying to get you to be lifelong customers. Let's put it that way. And we just don't, we have so many people that come to us, well, we paid them off once and then we accidentally racked them back up or whatever. We just don't want that for you. We want you to be in charge, be planning and telling and being a boss of where your money is going, not being subservient to someone asking when. I don't like to ask permission for anything. Like, it's really not my thing. And so I don't want to ask permission to borrow money or when do I have to pay you back or whatever. So we just like you to be in control of your own money.
I see
That's
it.
so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I was always raised that, you got to get your credit. Now, again, I don't know how long it would have taken me to save up enough money to actually buy a house cash. I don't know if we could have, because we still haven't paid off our house now. So,
well, that's probably the only one, right? That people think they need credit for, but there's also other ways to be able to get a mortgage. There's something called manual underwriting that's actually how you used to buy a house before the FICO score was even a thing. So there are banks that do manual underwriting. And what that is they're just verifying your utility bills. They're verifying how you are as a customer paying on your normal bills every month. And they're also going to check your job to make sure that you have a steady job, steady income, things like that. I think they go back 2 years on that, but we're not saying that we don't want you. I mean, I know Dave would say pay cash for a house. We get that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's unrealistic. We get it. But there are other ways to get a mortgage instead of looking at your credit score.
And I just want to say really quick, because this is the thing, something I'm very passionate about. I love how you said I was raised to, and we were all told, get a credit score, get it going young, blah, blah. Ask your mom if that was the case for her, because I guarantee it wasn't. Oh, ask your grandma if that was the case for her, because it wasn't.
That's
it's
so
a brand new thing.
Yeah.
It's a brand new thing. Yeah. Just like when we get to it later, my mom raised me on Hamburger Helper. There won't no Hamburger Helper, the generation before, and we're all so sick now because of the fake food that we're getting and all this, right? It's the same with all, just because somebody's saying it's the right thing to do, we're going to question that.
Yeah.
That's really, really fair.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because it is interesting when you look at it. Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I didn't know anything about credit scores. It really wasn't until when we applied to get our first house, I was like, I don't even know what my first credit card was, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember. So it wasn't such a big deal back then, but it just seems like it is now. And maybe that's just because we've made it be a big deal and it doesn't need to be a big deal.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They have made it a big deal. Like their marketing budget every year is millions and millions of dollars to get us to come. Like they are not hurting for money, okay, on purpose. Their budget for this is more than we'll make in a lifetime.
No, I mean, definitely credit cards don't want you to pay off the bill. They want you to leave it linger. So you pay the 20% interest rates and, which is crazy. And I can see how people just.
Be your own bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's our goal for you.
I like that. So what advice, so between Olivia and I, obviously we're at very different points in our life.
Little.
So just a little. So I'm 52, she's 21. Nice. And, I definitely have pretty much financial freedom. So like when you look at someone her age versus my age, where do you start? What's the difference in how you start? Or is it similar? Is it kind of like, hey, we all need to start in this one place?
And maybe the commas are different, Simone.
Right.
Yeah.
The commas in the account. No offense, Liv, no offense.
No, you're right.
The system is still the same because both of you still have goals. Both of you still have bills. The system is the same. It's just where the money goes and also what you value. So, Liv might be doing, I don't know, more skincare or whatever. I don't know. I'm just in the middle of you two, so I don't know. Versus you might be budgeting more for travel, Simone, or something, right? Yeah. So it might be like what you're actually budgeting, but the system is the same.
Yeah. So the first thing we would recommend is both of y'all to do a 90-day review. Where is your money going? How are you spending your money?
Oh, that was what's so going scary.
On? It is.
Like it would be a throw up moment.
Yeah. It's probably the crappiest part of doing all this, but it allows you to see the numbers because nobody wants to spend the time to go highlight and see, how they're spending your money. We get it. But if you can do this, then you can set a really good, solid plan for how you're going to continue to spend your money. Right.
Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing is we're going to just set off like this domino effect of people throwing up all over the country.
Yeah, like a little bit.
When they look at it. But, it's just one of those things. And as a, going to law school, you know this, like, just own it. Just face the music. It will never, that will be the moment you rip the Band-Aid off. It's all done because you're very smart and you're moving forward. And so that 90-day review is, some people want to stay stuck there. They want to be mad at themselves. No, we ain't got time for that. That's great. That's what was.
That's the past.
But now you're doing a good job. You're putting your money to work now, right? And that's really what it is. We put I think I mentioned this before. The bank account is your personal assistant, right? So we are going to set your system up to where your income comes in, and it's into your bills account where all the bills and debts are being paid automatically. Hello, ain't got time to do manual bill payments.
No.
And then whatever you've budgeted, which you can use, we have a free one-page budget template to figure it out. That is all being transferred automatically to the different accounts for whatever you spend. And then you just are able to, spend and save. And then your budget's happening automatically. You always know exactly what's going on with just a glance. You don't have to do mental math in the grocery store line. Nobody wants to do that. And it's amazing.
Yeah. So one of the things we recommend is that you open, like Shana alluded to before, is a couple of different checking accounts. Okay. And so the one checking account, your main one, probably the one you use now, is all the money is going to come into that, and all of your bills and your debt payments are going to be paid out of that main checking account. Okay. And then from doing your 90-day review, now you're going to be able to know, how much do I want to spend on groceries? How much do I want to spend on gas? Because when you do the 90-day review, it allows for two things. It is, what am I doing? And now you get to ask the question, what do I want to do? Okay. So now you're going to go through and you're going to go, okay, I'm going to open up a checking account for gas and groceries. And you're going to get a debit card for that. And you're going to label it maybe with a vinyl sticker or Sharpie, right? And then you're going to have another debit card, another checking account. And you're going to get a debit card for that. And that's going to be your personal spending account. And that's the Targets, the Starbucks, the whatever, like that's your fun stuff, right? And then, we have some that want another checking account strictly for restaurants, because they want to know how much are they spending on literally going out to eat, especially with families and stuff. But the amount of checking accounts you have is up to you. We recommend, opening up a couple and having debit cards and label them, because when your money is organized, and some people say that's too much work. It's actually not. It's so easy. It's so organized. Once you know exactly what debit cards to use for what kind of purchase, and you'll, like Shana said, it's bank account balancing. You open up your bank account app. You see exactly what's in your gas and groceries account. You know exactly how much to spend. You see what's in your restaurant account. You know what your budget is.
Yeah. And if you have money left over, this is the key. So this is where it might really differentiate for the moment, Liv. No worries. You're going to be so rich, so great. It's going to be great. But then if there's anything left over, that's when we move into savings buckets. And savings buckets are things like travel. Planning ahead for Christmas. Guess what? It comes the same time every year, and we're all like, oh no, what am I going to do? Things like annual bills, just different things that you want to save for. Those are going to be over there. And what Vanessa said, what we're saying sounds complicated, but what we know is personal finance is so much more complicated. We were just talking about grandma, like when grandma just put money in the mattress or the jar or whatever, and nobody
in the walls.
Look at your bank account right now, girl. Oh my gosh, it's so complicated. We were thinking lately, remember how we were all so cool and we cut cable? Remember? We're like, we don't cable. That's one bill. We took one bill and went ahead and made 15 out of it. Right now we've got Netflix and Peacock or whatever, all the different things. So your finances are already complicated. We're trying to make that not messy. It's not, it used to be like a couple bills, and now we've just got all of these different things. It's already complicated. So we're just taking it out, organizing it. Like if you can imagine it being like in a planner, or, that's what we're doing. Dave Ramsey talks about cash envelope system, which a lot of people love so much, but so we're talking about like a digital envelope system.
Yeah.
Where you know exactly what is set aside for what.
So, go ahead.
Would you do, when it comes to savings accounts, do you do a separate savings account for each kind of goal you have? Would you do a separate one for travel, a separate one for just saving in general, a separate one for, I don't know, the kid's wedding, whatever? Do you separate them out so that you don't ever mess that up? Or do you just do one big savings?
Yeah. So we've tried to do the one savings, and then you get a spreadsheet and you're accounting for it that way. No, that's too hard.
No thanks.
The idea here is to find a bank that's going to let you do what you want to do, because when you go to a bank, you're hiring them to do a job. So find one that will allow you to open multiple accounts, and they are there. Trust me, we've been doing this for 5 years. There are plenty of banks that let you do it. So open multiple savings accounts and checking accounts and label them. The best part about this is that you get to name them and change the names. So if you just have like a short-term goal, like a wedding that you're saving for, label that one wedding. If after the wedding it's grandkids, then you rename that one grandkids or whatever, right? We want you to have separate checking accounts and separate savings accounts for your goals.
And the cool thing, when we talk about bank account balancing, we teach you to fund how to fund these every paycheck automatically. And so when you look at your thing and you see, trip to Greece growing, or you see daughter's wedding fund growing, or you see whatever, you see it and you're like, ooh, that's fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. And that's why you want to separate them, because you don't want to have to do math in the moment. But also some things will be like, honestly, less fun, like vehicle maintenance. But when you're saving aside for vehicle maintenance, then when you're at, the place in which I can't think of a name where you do that, because my husband does it, but when you're there, then you can transfer the money because you know exactly it's in that digital envelope, you know exactly where to put it, and you can transfer it, and then you're done. And it really does make it simple.
So, to kind of put the whole thing to play, my husband gets paid every Wednesday. Thursday morning, all my transfers happen automatically. I didn't do anything. It's all done out, right? I set those up. And then my gas and groceries account is funded. My personal pocket money account is funded. My vehicle maintenance, my travel, my kids' education, like all the money just goes and it does its thing. And then like Shana said, if I need an oil change, I pull up my bank account. I ask the guy, how much was my oil change? I transfer it from vehicle maintenance into my checking account and I swipe my card. And like, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Do you recommend savings accounts that are, because a lot of the local banks don't have the high interest rates. So do you recommend putting everything in one bank, or do you kind of spread things out depending on where you can get best interest rates?
We recommend one bank for the most part, but you're going to be your own bank. So if your emergency fund is going to be parked possibly at a different bank, and we have several that we could recommend, but that have a high yield savings.
Yeah.
And that's twofold. One, that money needs to be making you money because it's going to be a larger chunk. And the other thing is sometimes we want that emergency fund to be a little harder to get to. Just know thyself.
Reduce temptation.
Yeah. And so it can live at a different bank, but the rest of them, you do want them to be in the same bank. That way, like Vanessa said, when I'm at the oil change place, I can just pay for it. And I'm not waiting for it to come from magical fairy different bank places.
That makes sense.
But yeah, but here's something, and this is why we're trying to teach women to take ownership of their finances. Like you are a savvy financial guru, boss lady, or whatever the right words are, because you want to be in charge of your money. You want to be, you want to shop around for a bank. Like Vanessa said, they work for you. So walk in there like CFO of your life and be like, what you got for me? And we have found there's lots of places, like some of the banks put it, what is the one that does it? Is it Ally or Capital One that has the bucket savings?
Ally.
So
Ally's so good like that.
Yeah. Yep. You can keep it in one account, so it's making the most interest, and they divide it into the buckets for you, which is pretty cool. So there's different banks like that can, you're the financial CFO, you're awesome, you're amazing. So shop around, make sure you get a bank that's worth your business.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Man, I have so much to think about right now. I'm like about to organize.
Well, we're glad that we get to talk to you, because not only are you awesome and receptive, because a lot of times people are not, but you're going to be making a lot of money, and you're going to know exactly how to make it all from the word go, be able to have something to show for it.
And you'll surpass us someday. Like that, we always love teaching young people, because we're like, we want you to be richer than your parents and richer than us, right? It's just fun to know that they have time on their side.
Yeah.
So what do you see, obviously, when you talk about relationships and money, it's stressful, right? When money is stressful, then the relationship becomes stressful. What are the biggest challenges you see in relationships and money?
It's funny that you said that, because I'm going to let her open, but it's not when money is stressful. Really, it's always money. Really, it doesn't matter if we have clients that make $250,000, $500,000 a year. Their marriage is still stressed because they don't have a plan. They're not communicating. So, or you can have people that are living paycheck to paycheck, really, and they still have the same problems.
A lot of times they're coming from two completely different backgrounds with money, right? So either their parents had a lot of money and they didn't think about it, so they just spent it all, and their parents gave them basically everything they wanted, or they didn't have any money growing up. So when they have money, they either save it or they spend it all because they never had that option before. And then they get married because usually opposites attract, right? So it's like they get married and now they're having to deal with learning how to manage. They never even learned how to manage their own money. Now they're learning how to manage money together with two completely different views about money. And the communication is terrible, right? And so there's a lot of icky feeling, a lot of misconceptions about their money. We've had clients on a call tell us things that they've never told each other. And the person's standing right there and they're like telling us, but also telling them at the same time. It's like, so we always tell people we are unofficial marriage counselors when we're doing this, because they need that. It just turns into like a therapy session, which is fine, but they need to be able to work through all that money baggage while dealing with their finances, because it brings a lot of stress.
Yeah. And it can, as I alluded to earlier, it can be one of the sources of the most teamwork and marriage building if you do it right. But unfortunately, it is, we didn't learn about it. And then we're joining forces. We're dealing with all the things of regular marriage stress. And so it can easily become like one of the number one things that people fight about. And that's what it is. And they're not on the same page. But the number one thing that you can do to get on the same page is go back to when you were first, little dreamers, and you were like, we're going to get married, and you're excited.
You have all these plans.
And you have vision and dreams, where your life, why you're going to get married, what you're going to do together, all the cool things. If you can find a way to get back to that place and think about that, like, did we already say, I'm going to Greece this year, she's going to Portugal. Like when we have that as a couple that we're working toward, or like you said, saving maybe for daughter's wedding or something like that, that we're excited to be able to do that. We can build that. We can do a lot of things if we have the right why, the right vision as a couple. And so then coming together to talk about money is much easier when we have a good why.
Yeah. It's funny because it's not, I kind of do all the budgeting and stuff in our house, and, he'll be like, oh, we have money for that? Or, oh, why don't we have money for that? And I'm like, how about you do it? How about you participate? And then he's like, he's busy. Like, I get it. Like, so, but you're right. Like when you're on the same page, when you communicate about it, I think it makes it much easier for most people.
And it's really heavy for one person, even though there's, like you said, you're basically financial freedom. You're obviously smart, capable. It's not that you can't do it on your own. It's just, it's heavy. And you want to share that burden and share the wins and the burdens, right? Together, that you're in this thing together, so it is much better. Even so, a lot of times we'll have people like you that are the ones that are creating all the budget, doing all the things. And we're like, okay, once a month, can we have a date? Can we talk about these things? Can we talk about our vision, talk about our assets, talk about our debts, whatever it is? There's
always the one person that does most of the work. Like that, it just happens. But we also want to have the other person have some type of say, some type of input. I just graduated a client and he's very type A, like he does it all. And he tells her what's going on. So when I graduated them and I was like, you are not allowed to tell her what she's going to be spending money on. And then he went like this. And I said, and you have to show up to the budget meeting. And I was pointing at her because she doesn't like to show up. Right. And so I was like, you guys just have to come together and just make a plan and make those decisions even though if you make it, like if you make the plan and then just show him, be like, hey, this is what I got. What do you think? Right. And just let them know that they have a say. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I like to tell people that my husband and I, okay, you ready? Alliteration's coming your way. We do our budget together at the brewery when we drink a beer.
With the beer.
Okay. And so we just make it a date, right? We make it a date and we look at all the numbers, we look at the assets, we look at whatever our goals are, all the things that we're doing, what's coming up this month, who's trying to steal our money this month, right? And we're doing it together and we try to make it fun. Or well, it is fun because we're nerds, but we suggest that for everybody, whether you're single or whether you have you're married. Make it a thing, make it fun. It doesn't have to be awful. Especially if you're driven by a goal or something exciting, it's okay. How are we getting closer to it this month? That's kind of the mentality that we want to switch it to.
And if you drink bourbon, the same alliteration
applies. You could also do bourbon at a bourbon distillery or whatever they are. It's fine. At a bar.
What can we do with wine? What can we do with wine?
Okay. Wealth.
Yes.
Wine.
Be wise about your wealth while drinking wine.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you got it.
Okay. Wow.
Done.
Okay, Mom.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Okay. I think that it's time for the question that we've all been waiting for, which is, what is something your mother told you that she was wrong about?
Because obviously I've been telling her she needs to build her credit. So maybe I'm wrong about that. So I mean, hey, let's go there.
Hey, no judgment. You guys,
No.
you guys do what you think is best.
Yeah.
I think my mom gave me the advice based on her background and what happened to her in her life, which was very, true for her, but it was to be very financially independent and be an independent woman. And it took me a long time to unlearn that and to be able to communicate correctly with my husband about finances and to want to team up and to be willing to become a stay-at-home mom and be underneath, his financial provision or whatever you want to call it. And that has been such a happy place for us. But it took me a long time to get there. And I understand why she did it for what she went through in her life. But I just wish I would have had both points of view, maybe. And then I could have navigated it better. But that's just what we're going to say about that.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, that's really good.
For my mom, she was one for surface conversations. So she never went deep. I think something that she did wrong was never have good, deep conversations with me. It was really hard. My dad was my level-headed one, but he was always working. And so, I look back and I just remember just not having a really open relationship with my mom when I was younger, just because everything was very surface level. If I asked her for advice, it was very like short and sweet and to the point. And it was like, moving on. Everything was swept under the rug. And so, I wish looking back that she had taken the time to dive deeper and do maybe not life coaching with me, but like just understand my why and, where my questions were stemming from to give better answers.
I don't think I sweep anything under the rug. I think that it's all on top of the rug, and I'm like constantly giving her advice.
Maybe around the rug, on the floor.
Yeah, wherever it is.
Just sweep something under the rug, Mom. No.
Yeah.
No. I kind of like talking about all of it. I feel like it makes for a stronger relationship with all of my kids. The more we talk about not just our wins, but our failures, all those things that make us who we are.
And as a mom, it's hard. It's uncomfortable, which is probably why our moms didn't do it. Yeah. But it's uncomfortable, some of those conversations. But we talk about all the time, like, as long as they're willing, we're here to listen. And we're so like, just say real quick, I text my daughter, I was at the beach and I was doing my weekly planning. I said, hey, do you want to watch a movie with me? And she's 12, right? She's 12. So supposedly this is a hard age. I haven't seen it yet. She said, yes.
Wait till 16.
Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation. I was like, I'm so happy. So yeah, we just want to always keep those open conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Liv, it is time for the calendar. Let's see what we got today.
Drum roll.
Bring it on.
You're not a person, you're a phenomenon. And all it takes to unleash this phenomenon is for you to stand for possibility in the face of cynicism, to be adventurous in the presence of fear, to be accepting or forgiving or loving when presented with anger or resentment, to be compassionate when every bone in your body screams to defend itself.
I love it. I don't know if it's exactly related to today, but
but it's good life advice.
That was a lot. I think we need to dissect it.
I know, right?
I think it was good because I think you can take it and you can either conform and stay in the path that others kind of want you to, or you can break away from that. And I think our system, our way of doing things is a little different. And I think it does pertain a little bit.
Yeah, I think it is about breaking away, right? It's about figuring out what works for you. And not putting your head under a rock and saying, oh, it's just never going to happen. I love what you guys do. And Olivia and I are going to definitely do some more research. She might want to do the program because I think that it is going to be really beneficial, especially when you're starting out and you haven't dug the hole yet, right?
Right.
I think a lot of times it's so nice to know about it before you're like, oh, wait, I don't even have to go there because I'm so well prepared. So
yeah, absolutely.
I call all my young clients fresh meat.
Oh, I love it.
Because I'm like, if I can just get you while you're still fresh and before you've been tempted, right? Yeah. I just love it so much. Yeah,
absolutely.
So tell our listeners where they can find you.
You can find us over at Financial Coaching for Women. And I think we kind of alluded to it, but we really are trying to change the narrative here, or maybe not change, but just create our own, where we're having fun. It's friendly. It's talking about money over coffee kind of deal, versus some of the other voices in the financial space can be a little more intimidating or scary or whatever. So we're trying not to do that. So financial coaching for women is number one for sure. Come check us out.
Yeah, that's our podcast. And then on social everywhere, you can find us at My Budget Besties.
And then real quick for your listeners, one thing that we did is we've coached thousands of people at this point, thousands and millions of budgets. I can't even add them up, right? And every session we send a recap. And we say, this is your homework, what you need to do before our next session. And we went through and looked at all of our recaps and said, what are the things that are repeating that we can take out and put into a guide? So we put those into a guide. It's called 49 Smart Money Moves. And it's just little things that you can do to tweak and add and put into your financial system, however you're running it, to just be able to make it better
and get quick wins, right?
And that's the big thing. Quick wins, like just real quick, this is what you can do. And then you can kind of work through it at your own pace. And that's at budgetbesties.com/smart money.
I love that. Thank you. So everything's going to be in the show notes. So take a look there. There'll be links, and just thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Yes, this was awesome.
I learned a ton. I mean, we have these preconceived notions. Oh, we already know that. No, we didn't know that. And she's like, okay, what can I do differently now?
Yeah,
so
and I'm really thinking.
Good. Now she's going to go look at her credit card bill and say,
yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh, how much did I spend on that bar last month?
Oopsies.
So, yeah.
That happens.
No,
this was such good conversation. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you guys are so fun. It's so cool to be able to talk to you and have our daughters are not quite 21, 14 and 12. So it's really cool to see the dynamic that you have, and it's such an inspiration.
It is. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So thanks everyone for joining us on this week's episode of the Daughter Dearest Podcast, and we will see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye guys.
Thank you for listening to the Daughter Dearest Podcast with Simone and Olivia Canego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Daughter Dearest Podcast, at Simone Canego, and at Olivia Canego. Till next time.